Okay, now that was subject. Now let's move on to verb. Alright, so let's look at what is a singular verb and what is a plural verb. Okay, now going back to what verb means just now, there are two types, two breakdowns. Number one is what we call action verb, perkataan-perkataan in English yang menunjukkan perbuatan, and the other one is verb to be. Okay, now verb to be comprises of either am, is, ataupun are. Now remember, the word am is exclusively only for subject I, saya. So you must always say I am if you want to use what you call that a verb to be. Okay, so I am working, or I am sleeping, I am beautiful, or I am handsome. Alright, so am, remember, is only exclusively for the subject I. However, for is and are, there's a different usage of it. So that's why I am covering this, just to tell you when to use it properly. Okay, now before you go to verb to be, for action verb, perkataan yang menunjukkan perbuatan. Okay, when you put an action verb in a singular form, unlike the subjects now, if you remember, just to recap, under subject, if the subject is singular, there's no s. For example, the car, it's singular, one, so there's no s. But when you change the car into a plural subject, you add s at the end. So instead of the car, it becomes the cars, okay? Or the chairs, or my parents. So when there's an s at the end, the subject is a plural subject. Tetapi berlainan dengan verb, if the verb is singular, in a singular form, there has to be an s at the end. For example, the word run, berlari. Okay, so if you use the word run in a singular form, it has to be runs with an s at the end. Okay, similar with kiss, it becomes kisses. Walk becomes walks. See becomes sees, and watch becomes watches. Alright, so all these words here, action verbs, because they come under a singular form, there is an existence of s at the end of it. Alright, so those are singular. But when you change them to plural form, right, if they become plural, there's no s at the end. So that's why I always tell students, terbalikkan. For subject, kalau singular, tak ada s. Plural yang ada s. But for verb, singular ada s, plural tiada s. Terbalikkan. Okay, now that is for action verb. But for verb to be, I've explained to you about the usage of I just now. I is always with am. Tetapi if the verb is singular, it's always is. Is a singular verb. Alright? Are, on the other hand, is actually a plural verb. Alright? Now, going back to the idea of subject agreeing with the verb, I've told you initially that for them to agree with one another, the idea is very simple. If the subject is singular, tidak ada s, the verb that comes after that must also be singular, which is with the s. Okay? Singular tak ada s, subject tidak ada s, verb mesti ada s. So dia terbalik. However, if the subject is plural, ada s, the verb must also be plural, tetapi tidak ada s. Alright, now let me show you an example. Okay, now these are 5 sentences to give you an idea how sentences can be simple, easy to understand, but at the same time it retains the correct grammatical form of subject-verb agreement. Now, sentence number 1. My mother cooks for us. Now, the subject here is my mother. Siapa yang melakukan? My mother. Alright? The question is my mother singular or plural? Obviously, it's singular. Satu saja. Now, going back to the concept just now, if the subject is singular, tidak ada s, the verb here, the kata kerja, which is cook, must have an S. So here, my mother cooks for us becomes a correct sentence because there's the subject and the verb agree with one another. Okay. So my mother here is the subject and cooks here is the verb. So with an S. Ingat konsep terbalik Kalau depan tidak ada S, belakang mesti ada S. Kalau depan ada S, di belakang tidak ada S. Okay. Now, second example, our teacher. Our teacher is a subject, singular or plural? Singular. Alright? Our teacher run on the field. Now, if you understand the concept right now, you should be able to tell that this sentence here is wrong. It's wrong because the subject is singular, which is our teacher. The verb does not have an S. So to make this correct, you should add an S at the end. Our teacher runs on the field. Okay. Right? Now, example number 3. Unimas is a subject, opens every day. Unimas is a singular proper noun, subject. Okay. Unimas is singular, so the verb open must end with S because terbalik. Right? Number 4. She is walking to class. She is a singular pronoun. Alright, so because she is a singular pronoun, you use is, not are. Alright, like I said just now. Okay, so she is walking to class. Also, another thing that I want you to take note of is when you use this kind of sentence, this structure right here of using verb to be in a sentence, the verb that comes after that must end with ing. Okay, I repeat, if you write a sentence using the subject and verb to be, the verb that comes after the verb to be must end with ing. So, she is walking. You cannot say she is walk because it's incorrect. Right? So, she is singular subject, so you use the word is, and then the verb must end with ing. Okay? Similar with number 5. Okay, they are singing the song. They is a plural subject, mereka. Okay, so because it's a plural subject, you cannot use is. The verb to be is are. Okay, again, the verb that comes after that must end with ing.